What is going on, everyone? I'm Sir James from Gamerfuzion.com, and I'm here to give you guys my Sony's 2013 Holiday Buyer's Guide for the PlayStation Vita, PlayStation 3, and PlayStation 4. I'll be going over all three systems within this video, and I'll be providing you guys my top 5 recommendations. There are many games out there which I could sit here for a good 3 hours going over every single game possible, which I highly recommend, but I'm just going to give you guys my top 5. But if there's a specific genre that you're looking for games for, you're welcome to leave that in the comment section down below. For an example, if there's something you're looking for in the RPG segment, you could just say, hey, I'm looking for a game strictly within RPG for this particular system. Can you help me out? Then I'll be more than happy to answer your guys' questions in the comment section below. But for now, let's go ahead and get started with the PlayStation Vita. First up is a first-person shooter and one of the best ones on the handheld, which is Killzone Mercenary. Now, I do have a review on my channel. You're welcome to check that out. But Killzone Mercenary, not only is it the best-looking PlayStation Vita game, but it's also the best first-person shooter on the system as well. And I can assure you that the online multiplayer is live and active, which puts you against a 4v4. So that's the main segment where people are going to go with, is the online multiplayer. But even the single-player section was really good because it's actually one of my personal favorites in terms of the campaign alongside Killzone 2. And it allows you to play the game in about 3 different ways, but overall you have a lot of hours of gameplay, and the multiplayer is really fun and addicting. Even with the small segment of 4v4, you're still going to have that enjoyment like you would on consoles, just not as many players. And yes, it is easy to find people within the game. Next game I would highly recommend is a side-scrolling dungeon crawler hack and slash called Dragon's Crown by Atlas. Now, this game I could easily recommend for both the PlayStation Vita and PlayStation 3. Unfortunately, this game is not a cross-buy, but you can cross-play and cross-save, meaning what that does is that for the cross-save function, if you happen to own the game for both the Vita and PS3, you could easily transfer your save files between the two platforms and continue off where you left off. For example, maybe you want to continue off of where you left off from the PS3, just transfer your save file to the PlayStation Vita. Now you can continue on your quest on the road, and when you come back, just transfer your save file back and you're ready to go. Not only that, you can also cross play. What that means, if I'm on the PlayStation Vita and a friend of mine has it on the PS3, I'm able to play with them because it's the same exact game. The game is running at 60 frames per second and it looks great on the PlayStation Vita. Now, there is a tiny minor frame rate drop, but other than that, the game is pretty much really playable and extremely enjoyable with many hours of gameplay. Next up is a kid-friendly game, which is known as Rayman Legends, which is a really bright, colorful, and cheerful game. And not only is it really good looking, but it's really fun as well. It's a side-scrolling platformer, and what's cool is that at the end of each of the different stages, you have these really cool musical segments. The only downside to that is that you only have a short amount of musical segments, but there is a lot to do within the game. The game does have a lot to offer, which that one I could easily recommend for the handheld. Another one is a fighting game known as Dead or Alive 5, where pretty much you have all the Dead or Alive characters on the PlayStation Vita. So far, it's been one of the best fighting games alongside the Injustice Gods Among Us. So any of those two I could easily recommend in terms of the fighting segment. And next up is a really fun title as well, known as Sly Cooper Thieves in Time. Now, for this title, just keep in mind, if you also own a PlayStation 3, if you happen to get Sly Cooper Thieves in Time, the game does contain a digital download for the game for your PlayStation Vita, but that's only if you get it as a new copy. Now, if you don't have a PlayStation 3, but you could easily find Sly Cooper Thieves in Time for about $10 to $20, depending on where you go. You might want to check Walmart, because I've seen Walmart have the game for about $10, but $20 is pretty much the lowest price you're mostly going to find it for. Next up, let me go ahead and go over PlayStation 3. Easily right off the list, I can pretty much recommend The Last of Us. I do have a review on that on my channel. You're welcome to check it out. But it is a game made by Naughty Dog, and if you know Naughty Dog is known to have really top quality games such as their Uncharted franchise, which I could easily recommend that too. But in terms of what came out this year, their latest title was The Last of Us. There is an upcoming DLC that'll be coming out in early January of 2014, which is a story DLC. So The Last of Us, I would easily highly recommend. That one I gave a really good score for. Another one, it's not a regular style game you're used to. It's more of a story based, but this one is called Beyond Two Souls. And graphically, the game is really impressive on the PlayStation 3. It's really deep storytelling. However, this is more of a movie game, meaning it's basically going to play out like a movie and you interact with the game in small fragments. Just keep that in mind. If that's something that you don't like, then it's probably something that's not going to interest you. But if you play games like Heavy Rain, then I could easily recommend Beyond Two Souls. Another one is a really good RPG called Tales of Xillia, and Tales of Xillia 2 will actually be coming out in 2014, but Tales of Xillia is a really good RPG game. I do have a review on my channel. You're welcome to see that. Another fun game, which this one came out years ago, but they came back in an HD version. This one is called Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD Remix, which allows you to play Kingdom Hearts 1 in HD, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories also within HD, and you also have the cinematic cutscenes from 38 by 2 days. But it's a really nice, fresh in memories. You know, for me, Kingdom Hearts is one of my childhood games growing up. Actually, it wasn't mainly childhood, but it was one of the games of which I fell in love with within the franchise, and seeing it come back in an HD glory just looked phenomenal. That's the word I'm looking for. But that one I could easily recommend. Another one is Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider is a really fun game as well. That one is supposed to be coming out with an HD version for the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 within early 2014, but Tomb Raider is a really good title. Unfortunately, the game does not offer any single player DLC, but the single player is really fun and addicting. As for the multiplayer, last I tried the multiplayer was, you know, it was iffy. I mean, I wasn't really too much into the multiplayer, but the story, seeing Lara Croft in her, you know, all her glory after all these years, is a really good title to have. Next up is for the PlayStation 4. Right off the bat, I could easily recommend the first-person shooter known as Killzone Shadowfall. Not only is it one of the best graphical-looking games on any console system, but it's also a really good multiplayer as well. And now within my review, the only negativity is that the story wasn't as epic like it was in Killzone Mercenary or Killzone 2, but the story overall was, you know, it was okay, but the multiplayer is fun as hell, pretty much. It's the main highlight why you're going to want to come back and play it. Running at 60 frames per second, and with how well the graphics look, the game just overall was really well. I do have a review. You're welcome to check that out. Next up is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Now, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag on the next-gen systems runs at 60 frames per second, and a lot of the issues I've seen on current-gen fixed and ran smoothly on the next-gen consoles. So I could easily recommend that. I also have a review for that title. It's a really fun adventure game, so if you like the whole pirates genre, then you're definitely going to enjoy Assassin's Creed 4. Next up is a first-person shooter known as Battlefield 4. Now, I will admit, when the game first launched on next-gen platforms, there were some issues, especially on the PlayStation 4, but with the latest patch that came out just a couple days ago, the game has been running really smooth, and I've had suffered from zero issues after the latest patch. But now that Battlefield 4 is pretty much fixed on the PS4, I could easily recommend the game. You have an open battlefield. You could do almost anything within the game. I highly suggest you check out some videos within that on YouTube. And next up is a fun family game, or just fun game for yourself, called Lego Marvel Superheroes. Really cool game. It takes all the Marvel characters, puts them into a Lego format, and you have your own personal little story. And of course, they will be coming out later with Lego The Hobbit, which seems like an interesting game as well. Another one, this one has mixed reviews, but for me personally, I really enjoyed this title. Because, you know, right now there's currently not that many games for next gen, but this one I could easily recommend because it's a really fun little platformer game called Knack. Knack is a really fun game. He's a pretty cool character. Now, just note the game can get pretty hard, so if you're looking for getting this for your kid or something like that, just note that if you was playing it on normal, Knack is a really sensitive character, meaning just one hit from like a goblin, he'll lose like 75% of his health. But the game does get frustrating, but is a lot of fun, and you could play cooperative as well. But anyways, those are my top recommendations for the PlayStation Vita. PlayStation 3, and PlayStation 4. If you guys have any questions, you're welcome to leave that in the comment section down below, or if there's any games you'd like me to help you out in terms of recommendations for a specific genre, feel free to leave your questions in the comment section down below. Anyways, I'm Sir James from Gamerfuzion, and happy holidays.